Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for joining our last session of the day today. I'm here with Keith from Tobii. Before I kick it over to Keith, just a reminder to put your questions in that Q&A box, and we'll get to all the questions at the end of the session. If you're having any difficulties with the tech or just want to start a conversation, you can put anything in the chat box. All right, Keith, I'm going to kick it over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Happy Friday, and welcome to the session, Demystifying Mobile UX with Eye Tracking. Once again, I'm Keith Bartels, the Director of Enterprise Research here at Tobii, and let's go ahead and take a look at the agenda. So we'll start today by looking at life in the mobile-first era. Next, we'll look at eye tracking. What is it? How does it work? And most importantly, what is the value it brings for mobile UX research? We'll then step through Tobii's offerings for mobile UX research. And as Kara just mentioned, we will finish out today's session with a Q&A session. So if any questions come up, feel free to jot them down and we'll get to as many as we can after the presentation. But first, life in the mobile first era. You know, as I sit here presenting to you all, I can't help but notice the almost symphony of notifications around me. I have my cell phone in my pocket that's buzzing every couple of minutes to indicate a text. I have my watch that's politely tapping with haptics. And if I had my tablet nearby, there'd also be that familiar ding notification. It's just a reminder of how integrated our lives are with these devices. Every step of the day, from the moment we wake up to when we go to sleep, usually there's some sort of interaction with the device, whether it's an app, a service, a video, a photo you look at. And looking at this picture on the left here, does this strike a chord with any of you? And I think it probably does, because for many of us, this is a pretty normal situation. So whether you're with friends or colleagues or family, or even by yourself, usually your smartphone is in your hand, in your pocket, or at the most, arm's length away. Because again, so much of our life these days is influenced by these devices. It impacts what we talk about, how we look at the world, how we interact with those products, experiences, and services. It's an integral part of who we are today. But it also didn't always used to be this way. So take a step with me back, if you will, to the days of the desktop tower. Or how about the big, heavy laptop with the huge bezel around the screen? Although I do miss these Jolly Rancher cases Apple used to have. Hope one day they get brought back. But my point here is that in the past, if you wanted to go online, chat with friends, surf the net, you had to go through this cumbersome experience of powering on this desktop PC, opening up the clunky laptop, waiting for a couple minutes for it to start up, hoping that the 56K internet connection doesn't get bogged down by someone trying to use the phone. It wasn't the most pleasant experience, but smart devices changed all of this. And relatively speaking, it happened very fast, because in the mid 70s and early 80s, we had the first arrival of that iconic brick smartphone, or iconic brick cell phone that we saw in movies and some pop culture references. And that really started this revolution. And the evolution of the smartphone was so dramatic. We had devices with screens, we had flip phones, we had the iPhone, which of course changed everything. And now today we have foldable phones with dual OLED screens and 50 plus megapixel cameras. It is incredible how fast all this took place. And again, as all these evolutions have occurred, it's become more and more ingrained with our lives. And just to reiterate, these devices that started as mere gadgets have become extensions of who we are. They define the interactions, the conversations. Some say they shape the very fabric of our lives. And to further showcase this, I found this stat that's very interesting and also a bit shocking. The average American spends over 10 hours per day on their smart device, and they check it almost 100 times a day on average as well, or once every 10 minutes. So essentially, these devices are almost surgically implanted to our hands. And when you consider how much time people spend on their mobile devices, it becomes incredibly important to understand what is that end experience like on a mobile device with your app, with your concept, with your product. Because as this cartoon shows, I love this cartoon, sometimes what looks great on desktop or laptop can look very different and not in a good way on mobile unless you test and understand that transformation experience. So the aspect of testing things to make sure that what translates well on desktop also translates well to mobile is vital. And that's where eye tracking comes in. Eye tracking is a very powerful research tool that's going to bring value to this type of research and understanding for your audience's experience. But to talk about eye tracking, what is it? I like to take a kind of a 5,000 feet view and describe it as, imagine eye tracking as a window into the mind of your customer. And what this compilation video here shows is that red dot you see that's moving around, that actually represents the attention of the participant or the customer. So with eye tracking, you can have this very versatile tool, whether it's indoors, outdoors, physical products, in car and beyond, and you get this front row seat to the attention to access this previously unseen, extremely valuable experiential data. And as I just mentioned, it's not limited, it's extremely versatile. So in-store with wayfinding, in car with driver experience, how about streaming platforms or all the different connected devices competing for our attention in home. So it's just an incredibly powerful tool that can be used in so many different ways. But for today, we're going to stick with mobile device UX and the value that eye tracking brings. So as you can see from this clip here, you get a really nice understanding of what those fine details were on the smartphone screen and how the person interacted with that content. Whether it's e-commerce, games, apps, or concept testing, eye tracking can do it all. But talking about eye tracking, we also, of course, want to really emphasize the value piece, because while it's a very cool, interesting, and exciting technology that gives you access to that valuable attention data, it also brings a tremendous amount of value to the research side. Because when you're thinking about mobile UX research, some very common questions are, what are the usability pain points with your app, your product, or maybe your concept test? What elements do people actually notice as the app or the page first loads? If you've added a brand new key call to action, let's say a picture, a drop-down element, are those things being seen as quickly as you thought, or are they not being seen at all? How about a task? So if you are building certain tasks to test out your concept, are certain elements making that task easier? Are certain elements slowing things down, causing confusion? Which layout is actually performing better? So all these questions often come up as we approach this type of mobile UX research, and that's where eye tracking value comes in. Because there are dozens of different methodologies out there that many of us have heard of and used in the past. So things like surveys, focus groups, ethnography, idea boards, the list goes on and on. But the exciting thing about eye tracking is it complements those other methodologies. So it's a way to take your understanding of your audience and take those insights one step further by adding this new layer of attention data. Because as we've discussed, people are spending 10 plus hours a day on these devices. So being able to have the full picture, the full story of what that experience is like for them helps you understand their journey, their experience, builds that empathy, and of course helps you design the best product, app, or message delivery possible. To further unpack the value piece of eye tracking, I want to focus on two parts of the data analysis. We'll look at the qualitative and then the quantitative. So when talking about the qualitative, that's more of the high-level insights you can glean from watching things like the basic replay you see here on the right. And as we've mentioned on that previous slide, this video alone helps you to get to that next layer of understanding and to go beyond those traditional methods of research. So imagine watching this video as a person is using this lighting app on their phone. With this, you could actually see, follow along in real time or after the fact, and identify the key behaviors. What worked well? Where did they maybe have a bit of confusion, or where did they stumble when trying to find maybe the different color to change the lamp to, or select a different lamp device. And the power comes from this in that you can take clips like this with your insights back to your design team, back to your researchers, and use it to support your arguments for this is working well, or we could use some changes to the UI orientation, the color scheme, the button placement, new picture placements, because data like this is very valuable and it only helps to strengthen those arguments as you talk to your team on the back end. And this is kind of showcasing that idea of qualitative value in action. So we did a quick internal test using this e-commerce app. And on the right, you can see, again, that red circle is the eye tracking attention data. So from this small test we ran, we noticed that the bestseller tags that this e-commerce app usually adds to some products, they actually didn't move the needle. They weren't really looked at all. If anything, they were glanced at for a split second, but it wasn't a big key call to action. Another interesting finding from this was that we found the more final steps that appeared to actually purchase the product, the more uncertainty, almost annoyance occurred with our sample, because people were getting to the point of selecting a product, but then when they went to actually purchase it, there was add to cart, buy it now, buy it weekly, subscribe monthly. So there was almost too many options. And once we watched this replay, saw their visual behavior, and also asked them some questions and showed this replay, we were able to uncover those insights, which again, add lots of value as you try and make sure that the message of the app is performing as intended. On the other side of the value piece is the quantitative analysis. So whereas qualitative is mainly more of the high level watching of the replay video or the live view, quantitative is that deep dive metric-based analysis. So this is more of the reviewing of specific attention metrics from the eye tracking and telling more of that deep dive story with the experience. So on the right here, if this was maybe a concept you were testing for a mobile app, when it comes to the quantitative side of things, you could actually outline and highlight any of the key areas you want to focus on with that concept layout. Maybe it's the search button, the women, men, accessories, activities drop downs, or this what's new picture that's been added. With the quantitative aspect, as you can see on the right here with this pie chart, you're able to then quantify and see what breakdown in terms of seconds of attention went to those key defined areas. And from this, you can look at that data as one person's experience or an entire group or sample. And with that, you can get to more of those patterns or trends of attention. Did the entire group go through the concept as expected? Or was there a big chunk that actually went a completely different way of exploring things, maybe missing a key call to action or some new element that you added? Very useful insights indeed. And going beyond just that ability to highlight certain elements and pull out those key metrics, you can also visualize the data. So on the right here, we have what's called a heat map. And this is where the eye tracking assigns different color intensities to represent where the group spent more time focusing on that app screen. So the more red the color, like you see at the bottom right there, underneath that rose-colored shirt on that price label, that's what received the most attention out of these 4 options. Heat map is very useful because you can quickly add this to a presentation, show this to a client or to a designer, and get that idea across very quickly of here is where the hot spots occurred of attention, and just double check that that's actually aligning with the flow you're expecting of your design. You can also go even more detailed on the far right here, these little pink circles. This is a plot of the attention. So if you wanted to actually see the specific order and duration of every spot your participant looked from the second your app loaded or concept loaded to when they finished their task, you can actually do that. So these circles, the number inside is the order, so you can see where they looked first, second, third, and so forth. And the size of the circle is the duration of focus. So again, very useful when it comes to patterns or trends, because with this, you can see with really nice granularity where did the clusters of attention focus, and does that align with your design expectation? And of course, if you want to go even deeper, if you want to go beyond the attention metrics, the heat map, the plot of attention, you can also export the raw data. So if you want to export those raw XYZ coordinates for that deeper level analysis, that's also possible. And then just like that e-commerce example before, we're going to show the quantitative analysis in action here. So we did another mini internal study here, this time looking at the App Store experience when browsing for specifically a new food ordering app. Because as we all know, within the App Store, when you search for a new app, there are so many different pieces of information on those search results. So we wanted to quantify that, what went to rating, negative reviews, logos, screen images, positive reviews. And we found that from the eye tracking, it's actually the screenshots that received the most attention out of all those different bits of information. And beyond that, the screenshots with bolder colors and more actual information on what the app does, those captured longer attention. So as you can see here on the far right, the brighter red background example captured 26.4 seconds, so far more than the dark blue on the left there. And this is just very important because when we're talking about mobile, especially when things move so fast, people are swiping, tapping constantly, it is light speed. The longer you can actually capture and hold that attention, that is a huge deal because that's more time they're spending on your brand, on your products, hopefully converting that to memory so that next time they think, in this case, what food app do I want to use? They remember this and not the competitor they only looked at for a split second. So now that we've gone through eye tracking, how it works, and the value piece, let's look at Tobii's offerings for mobile UX research. And we're going to start with Tobii Pro Glasses 3, our latest wearable. Here are the marketing images, and I'm actually going to pop on my set here so you can get a real-world view. So with the glasses, they're very comfortable, very lightweight. I know these marketing images do make the sensors in those glasses in the left and the right look pretty visible, but I can tell you when I put the glasses on, they really do fade into the background. There's not any flashing or distracting lights. It's a very comfortable feel. And I also do think kind of a cool aviator style to them. So when it comes to using the glasses, it's also very easy. As this video shows, the participant puts on the headset. There is a connected recording device that they can clip on to their pocket or belt. To calibrate, it's that single point calibration card, and you can use a tablet, a smartphone, or a laptop to run the process. Participant holds out the calibration card at arm's length. You enter the software, you see that attention circle pops up right away. Enter the participant's name, click calibrate, and in a matter of seconds, it calibrates, which ensures it's as accurate and precise as possible to each person's unique set of eyes. And then to further kind of highlight the features of the glasses, so as I mentioned, super lightweight, not obtrusive, it's not blocking any of my field of view. And this is so important because the name of the game with eye tracking is to kind of make your participants forget they're being eye tracked. Because when that happens, you capture the most natural behavior possible. And with these glasses, after about 1 to 2 minutes, we do see people totally forget they're wearing eye tracking glasses, and that only helps give you better and better data. There's also a built-in microphone. It's actually right here in the middle of this nose piece. So this example on the right here, if this person is using this lighting app and maybe they're stuck at a certain point and they're saying things like, I'm frustrated, or they're loving it and they're saying, this is a fantastic app, everything is so easy, you're going to capture that audio or narration along with the video and the attention data. And as you've seen with a couple of these example videos already, it's not just limited to one device at a time. You can track seamlessly from phone to tablet to smart TV, because as we know, and as we've said before, the number of devices is crazy today, and we are constantly switching back and forth. So with this wearable eye tracker, you can track that attention, that experience, that usability across as many different devices as you'd like to test. And with these devices, sometimes that screen is obviously much smaller. So as you can see in these videos, there's a crop mode feature. So you can easily zoom in and capture more of those fine details when the screen is tiny. The controller software, as I mentioned, you can use an Android smartphone or a laptop or a desktop. This is where you calibrate, start and stop a recording. But I love this slide specifically because I think the mobile app is so valuable, because just imagine you're doing a concept or a product test. You can actually watch that red dot, that eye tracking in real time from the palm of your hand using this controller app, as well as once you finish, bring up the replay, show it to your participant, and have some sort of survey or interview, ask them questions about the visual behavior that you saw. So it makes the entire process in field even more smooth. And then if you're talking about that qualitative and quantitative, especially back-end research, ProLab is the software suite. As you can see on the right, you can customize the appearance of that attention circle, create those visualizations such as heat maps, or if you want that deep dive and to get that metric data around such elements as branding, drop-down, text blocks, pictures you're adding, you can outline all those key spots on each app screen, and then get that full detailed story of things like how much attention went to area A versus area B, or what received the first attention once a certain page loaded. So very valuable on the back end there. But what about remote eye tracking? So I'm gonna take these glasses off, because what if you're wanting to do mobile UX research, but you don't want to have your participants wear eye tracking glasses, sit in front of an eye tracking bar, a bar-based eye tracker, or go to a testing facility or a lab. We do have a solution for that. And this next slide is a bit of a teaser. We do have a platform launching in the next month or two, and this video on the right here is captured from that platform. And this is going to be ideal for mobile UX research because it uses the built-in smartphone camera on the device itself. And as you can see on this video on the right, that spotlight visual, that's the actual attention tracking, and the yellow data are the taps or swipes. So this is fantastic because now you have the direct screen capture of the mobile experience, the visual attention, as well as what do they actually tap on or swipe as they went through your experience. This is ideal, again, for more of that qualitative, reviewing of the replay video UX research with smaller samples. And it truly does save time and money. Because imagine, you don't have to rent out a testing facility in a certain market. You don't have to have people meet you in a certain place at a certain time. You can simply create your test in this platform, send your participants a QR code, and from the comfort of their own home, they can scan that with their phone, and boom, the test begins. Once that test finishes, you can access replays for all the participants that you tested. And then of course, you can even take it deeper by integrating that into a survey or a questionnaire, asking them more deeper questions around what you saw, or maybe how easy or difficult the task was, thus giving you the deeper insights. So more to come on this in the next month or two. Unfortunately, I can't share more now, but we are all very excited for this one. So with all these amazing eye tracking offerings and all the information, I'm sure some of you might be thinking, this is great, but what if I don't have the bandwidth to run an eye tracking project or the interest to become an expert myself? And that's where the Tobii Insight team comes in, because we are not just a vendor of the hardware and the software side of things. We are much more of a research partner. So the Insight team is a full service in-house eye tracking group. We're talking experts with 10 plus years of research experience, and they are here to customize a project to fit your specific research goals and needs. So the idea is we can take that lift off your plate and handle the full project for you at the Tobii expert level quality. So we can do everything from design, recruiting, incentive, data collection, all the way through reporting. And again, it's customized to speak to your client's research questions. We can work with budgets large or small, And to give you an example of kind of the depth that our team goes into, on the sidebar of my session here, you should see a download. It's a PDF. It's a sample report we created with a couple of different applications to give you an idea of what you can expect with the level of detail, reporting, the visuals that our team provides with an Insight project. If you can't find it there, just simply go to tobii.com, search Empowering UX, and you'll see this download. Definitely worth the time to review. That's it for my slides here. So looking forward to the Q&A now. Let's take a look at what questions we have.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Keith. And yeah, we do have a couple minutes left for Q&A, so feel free to pop anything in there if you're still around. If you joined a little late, just a reminder that this session will be available on demand as soon as it's over, right on this session page. And as well as that download that Keith's talking about, there's also a big green button in the session page that says "Book time with me." If you click that, that'll take you directly to the Tobii team, to an email to them. Awesome, Keith. Quick questions for you. I know we only have a few minutes here, but what are the ownership options for the glasses as well as the remote eye tracking platform? Because I mean, even if you're not going to conduct research, the glasses are pretty stylish. So it'd be great to know how you can get your hands on them.
Yes, I certainly agree there. Very stylish. So happy to discuss pricing-based questions with anyone who's interested. You can email me at this address or a direct sales address, and we can have the appropriate account manager go through that, the specifics on pricing. But with glasses specifically, you can rent it by the month, lease it by the year, purchase it outright. So we do have some flexibility there. Again, reach out to us after this presentation and we can send you more on those specific pricing numbers.
Awesome. Well, I'll wait around for.
And sorry, I forgot the second part.
Sunglass version.
For the other platform, the remote platform, again, that was a bit of a teaser. So pricing and more details to come on that.
Yeah. Great. Very exciting. Congratulations on that new platform. I'm sure it'll be a big hit. And I know you kind of covered this a little bit earlier in the demo, but for anybody who missed it, can you eye track on any device, or is it iPhone only, Android only? Is there any limitations?
Yeah, good question. So you can track the attention across any device. Doesn't matter if it's Android or iPhone, whatever the device is. But on the software side of things, if we're talking the ProLab software, that is Windows only. With the controller software, though, that is a little bit more open. We can have that on Windows or Mac. That's just to run our software. But in terms of tracking a device, what the person's actually holding, there's no limitations on the brand or type of device.
That's great. And I know obviously people interacting with a smartphone's a very different experience than interacting with, a laptop. Do you have recommendations for, when you're using a phone like that environment, when you're testing that way? Is there any recommendations you have on the environment and how to make sure they're getting the best results possible?
Yes, yeah, and we have a really nice kind of room preparation guide that our Insight team put together. It goes over more of our best tips for setting up a room for testing. So happy to send that out, but to just go over a couple quick ones now. For testing a room, the main enemy of eye tracking is sunlight. So if you do have big windows or a skylight, you definitely want to draw the curtains or blackout shades over those during testing so that no sunlight comes in and interacts with the eye tracking. Other things to watch out for is heavy makeup in some situations around the eye can cause issues with calibration. Some bifocal and trifocal lenses can also cause issues. But again, we have a nice field guide that discusses these in more detail, as well as what solutions you can use to overcome any issues.
Awesome. Thanks for touching on that. Just a little bit of time left here. Last question. I know you kind of ended with mentioning the research team, which is amazing. Do you have a solution for people who, kind of more DIY and want to do the research on their own? Do you have a training platform that they can use?
Yes, definitely. So if you did want to rent, lease, or purchase the equipment and do the research on your own, that's awesome. We love and support that. We have what's called our Tobii Academy, and it's a full online e-learning academy that's self-led. So it's a series of courses that go over hardware, software, setup, all depending on what eye tracker you have. So that's a free course to help train you up. We also have paid training options. So our experts can do a remote training session or come out to you and do a full day on-site training session. Again, all with the goal of helping you become an eye tracking expert and making sure you have successful research. And then once you actually start your eye tracking, of course, we are still very much available. You can email us your questions. We're happy to help out with anything beyond the sale or beyond the training. Again, we are not just going to disappear once we get you involved with eye tracking.
Awesome. Glad to hear that. Well, we are at the end of our time, but thanks so much, Keith, for your time today and for the demo. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, Kara. Thanks, everyone. Have a nice weekend.
Bye.